Welcome back to our class. Don't forget to subscribe if it is your first time to visit our channel. Human endocrine comes from three words: endocrine and system. System, you know that it's a combination of different organs working together, and then these organs, different tissues working together to bring about an organ. And then a tissue, a combination of cells performing a common function. So it means that you know now that when you talk about a system, the system is being brought about by different organs. Different organs, these organs, they must work together so that it brings about a system. This is number one. Number two is crine. Crine comes from the word crinis. Crinis means secretion. So it means that it's a system of secretion. So when you talk about endo, it means that the secretion is within our body. So it is endocrine system, a system inside our body, and is responsible for secretion of substances. So basically, that's the meaning of what? Endocrine. So these are glands responsible for secretion of substances, and these substances we are talking about hormones. In this topic, we're going to look at this. Number one, introduction, you know. Number two is endocrine and exocrine. What's the difference between endocrine and exocrine? So I'll try to explain that. Then hormones. You grow, you become a lady, there are some structures which change on your body. What causes that? Maybe hormones, we will see that. Negative feedback mechanism. It's called a negative feedback mechanism. We will see why do we call it negative feedback mechanism. But basically, it's about bringing the internal environment to normal. So let's look at each. Endocrine system is a collection of glands. It means that we have different glands that produce hormones, are very important in regulating the metabolism, growth, development, tissue function, sexual function, and others. And others. So it means that your normal functioning is as a result of these hormones which are being brought about by these glands which are found inside our body. You talk with a soft voice, something related to hormones. You have a small body, something related to. You go to menstruation, something related to hormones. You don't go to menstruation, still something related to hormones. So it means that endocrine gland, it brings about the normal functioning of our body. So basically in this topic, you need to know the gland, where it's located, yes, the function of that gland, it means that which hormone does it produce, and the function of that hormone. And then in some few hormones, what will happen if there is under secretion of that hormone. Basically, that's what you need in this topic. And that's what we're going to be discussing about. Endocrine glands. When we talk about endocrine glands, it means the ductless gland. When you talk about a duct, these hormones, these glands release hormone, released directly into the bloodstream. It means that they don't have a duct. So these glands, they don't have those ducts. It's just short. The moment it releases the hormone into the bloodstream. It doesn't go into these ducts. So it goes to the bloodstream, and then the bloodstream takes these hormones where they are needed. That's why we are saying that they are ductless. They don't have those small tubes. In English, you can call them tubes. So we are saying that exocrine gland, for them, they release chemicals or substances through ducts. So you're saying that exocrine glands, we call them exo, which means out. Crine, they secrete their substances out, or they secrete substances direct to where it is needed. This one secretes substances into the bloodstream, then the blood takes the substance where they are needed. the hormones where they're needed. But this one, it secretes substances. The substances are being secreted where they are needed. For example, look at the salivary glands. They secrete the saliva into the mouth because saliva is needed into the mouth. So the salivary gland secretes substances into the mouth direct. So for this exocrine, they have the duct, they release these chemicals or this secretion to where they are needed. They don't use blood. This tube helps them to take these chemicals where they are needed. While this one, because they don't have the tubes, yes, they release these chemicals into this blood stream, and then the blood will take these chemicals to where they are needed. That's why we call them ductless. They don't have the ducts. While these ones, they have ducts. This tube, this one doesn't have the tube, while this one has the what? Has the tube. So that is the major difference. And then this one is dealing with the hormones, while this one is dealing with the enzymes. Let's look at the hormone. What is the hormone? We know that endocrine, they release the hormones. These are organic compound that is protein in nature. They act as messengers and needed in small amounts in the body. So for example, they are organic compounds. They are protein in nature. If you increase the temperature, they can be denatured. That's number one. They are made up of proteins. That's the meaning. They act as messengers. They bring the communication. The brain must send the hormones to the breast so that more milk is produced. So the brain wants to instruct the breast so that it can produce more milk. What does it do? It does it by producing prolactin, the hormone called prolactin. So it means that these hormones are just acting as messenger. They help the brain. For example, the brain sends the information to the breast, and then the breast starts to produce milk using the hormone called prolactin. You see, they are messengers. They take the information to be done in the body. And then you're saying that, look, here is the mechanism. This is the gland, yes. The gland secretes the hormone. This hormone is released into the blood. You see? We said it's endocrine. So the gland releases, this endocrine gland releases the hormone into the blood. Now the blood takes the hormone, yes, to the target. They have receptors to receive these hormones. So now as they are going, once they receive, they find the target cell. Now it joins the target cell. For example, this is the breast, and then this breast is going to start producing milk. But it came from where? It came from the brain. That is the pituitary gland, or what we call the hypophysis. Don't call it master gland because we want to give you a tick. We call it pituitary gland or hypophysis. So that's how it works. It releases hormone into the blood, and then the blood takes the hormone to where it is needed. Let's start now. So the first gland is called hypothalamus. It's called the hypo. Hypo means low. Thalamus means a thalamus. Just thalamus. So it means that it's below the thalamus gland. So hypothalamus. It produces a hormone called antidiuretic hormone. Number two, we have what we call the pituitary gland. Sometimes it's called hypophysis. It produces growth hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, and follicle stimulating hormone. Not only that, plus prolactin. So you're going to look at these hormones, their functions. So you need to know that. You need to know where they are located, and then you need to know the function of each gland. What is the name of the gland and the function of each gland? The function of each gland is the kind of hormone it produces. Then we go to thyroid gland. What's the function of thyroid gland? It produces thyroxine. Pancreas. What's the function of pancreas? It's very important in production of glucagon and insulin. Don't confuse glucagon and glycogen. The substrate which is being acted upon is glycogen and glucose. So please don't confuse this. Pancreas is found, it's for digestive system. This is the only gland which is both endocrine and exocrine. we can ask you that question. Which gland is both endocrine and exocrine? It is pancreas. Then you have the adrenal, you see, adrenal gland. It produces which hormone? Adrenaline and aldosterone. It produces adrenaline and aldosterone. Please don't confuse them. Then another one, you have the testes. Testes. Look at your eyes. 2 eyes, you have those are the ovary, and then 2 holes of the nose, those are the testes. So it means that you have the testes and the ovaries in your face. That's how I usually tell my students. Yes. So now you have the testes, yes, only found in male. So what's the function? It's for production of testosterone. Testosterone is very important in development of sperms and also secondary sexual characteristics. We're going to look at the functions of each. So you have ovary. Ovary produces 2 hormones. The first one is estrogen. The second one is progesterone. Please don't forget the spellings because spellings count. So we are saying that ovary, it produces estrogen and progesterone. We're going to look at these ones also. Let's look at them in detail. So this is how it looks like in a real times. So let's look at it in detail. Hypothalamus. Hypothalamus. So thalamus produces ADH. ADH, what is the function of ADH? It controls the amount of water in the body. Antidiuretic hormone is for water. Antidiuretic hormone is for water. You need to know that. When you are thirsty, it means that there is the hypothalamus is being stimulated to test that. That's why when you are talking about the function of hypothalamus, yes, we see that it is very important in controlling hunger, thirsty, emotion, sleep, all that. But there is thirsty there. So it means that what deals with that is because of ADH, antidiuretic hormone. Then you have the gland which produces a lot of hormones. The gland which produces a lot of hormones. That's why it's called master gland, because it controls even other glands. That is why it's called master gland. So this gland sometimes is called hypophysis. So we are saying that pituitary gland produces GH, which means growth hormone. You hear the word growth hormone, so it controls growth. Number 2, thyroid stimulating hormone. Thyroid stimulating hormone. You see, the function is there. Thyroid stimulating hormone. This hormone stimulates the thyroid gland. You see, TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. This hormone stimulates the thyroid gland. To do what? To secrete thyroxine. It's this hormone stimulates the thyroid gland to produce this thyroxine. Is it difficult? It's not difficult. We get the answers from their abbreviation. Follicle stimulating hormone, the same story. Stimulates, this hormone stimulates the development of the follicle in the ovary. So it's just a simple thing. And then luteinizing hormone. This one has 2 functions. Okay. The first one triggers ovulation. Triggers. You know a trigger. When you have a gun, for example, yes, you touch the trigger. What happens? The bullet comes out. So when you say it triggers ovulation, when ovulation is being triggered, then it means that the ovum is going to be released. So it causes ovulation to happen. So this one is supposed to be explained more in reproduction. Then number 2, when the ovum has been released, you remain with some casing where ovum was. The substance which remains where ovum was. So that casing is called empty Graafian follicle. So this luteinizing hormone stimulates the development of the corpus luteum. So it helps in changing the empty Graafian follicle into corpus luteum. So it changes the empty Graafian follicle into corpus luteum. So that's why we say it stimulates the development of corpus luteum. Then another one, prolactin. You know that lactogen from ShopRite, from Pick and Pay. Yes. lactose, because that's what called the sugar called lactose, lactogen. This prolactin is derived from the word lactogen. So which means sugars in the milk. Whenever you talk about this, you are talking about milk. So stimulates the mammary glands to secrete milk. Then when you go to thyroid gland, stimulates the production of thyroxine or produces thyroxine. This one controls the basic, it produces thyroxine. So what is the function of thyroxine? Controls the basic metabolic rate. When you talk about metabolic rate, you are talking about now the rate at which you grow and the rate at which you are active. Another one is the pancreas. Pancreas produces two hormones. The first one is glucagon, the second one is insulin. Glucagon is very important in conversion of glycogen to glucose. Get an example. You are hungry. Every 1 o'clock, every day, 1 o'clock, you are supposed to eat. But now, you reach 1 o'clock, there is no food. You become hungry. Obviously, you feel that the stomach has no food. You are hungry. The body wants food. But once it gets to 2:30, the hunger is no longer there. Did you eat? No, you didn't eat. How comes that the hunger is no longer there? It means that the pancreas released glucagon. This glucagon stimulated the conversion of glycogen back to glucose, and then you became full. You can see that a patient is in the hospital, has stayed there for 3 months without eating, but is only on drip. What do? They put this glucose into the drip so that now there is energy in the body. You are hungry, you have not eaten. Now, what is supposed to be done is you need the glucose because the organs need energy. So you don't have energy. You go to the bank, you go to the store, where you store the glucose as glycogen. Now glucagon will stimulate the conversion of glycogen into glucose, and then now glucose will be available in the blood, and then the energy will come back. You have insulin. You have much glucose. This glucose must be stored. If you have a lot of money, you are not going to buy. What do? You take it to the bank. So what do? This glucose is now being converted into glycogen, you see? And if you don't have the money, you want to use the money, what do? You go to the bank and withdraw your money. So it's like that. That's the mechanism, how it is. It's working. So this insulin, students tend to do these mistakes, that glucagon converts glycogen to glucose and insulin converts glucose to glycogen. Is very wrong. It's not glucagon converting. It is not insulin converting. No, it's the liver. So glucagon just stimulates that liver to convert glycogen to glucose. Or insulin stimulates the liver to convert glucose into glycogen. That's why we say that glucagon stimulates the conversion of glycogen to glucose. And insulin stimulates the conversion of glucose to glycogen. So I need to see the word stimulates. If you don't put it there, your answer is wrong. Another one is the adrenal glands. How about adrenal glands? Adrenal glands are very important in producing two hormones. The first one is adrenaline. Adrenaline is sometimes we call it flight or fight hormone. You either take off or you stay and fight. So this one is very important in increasing the heartbeat, the blood pressure, conversion from glycogen to glucose because you need more energy. So glycogen is supposed to be converted back to glucose so that now glucose is being used in a respiration. Then skeletal muscles, skeletal muscle tone, then it means that the muscles become stiff. You are ready to fight. The rate and the depth of the breathing is increased. When I give you an example here, and then the diameter of the pupil increases so that you can see clearly. Oh, you see a lion coming. When a lion comes to you, what do? The heart starts beating. Sometimes even you feel like you don't have hair on the head. The hair has gone away. It's because adrenaline has been released in the blood. That is the effect of adrenaline. You feel like you are heavy. You can fight. Get an example. You are in class. You are seated there, and then suddenly a bomb blasts. Yes. You will pass in a small hole whereby if that bomb was not there and ask you that pass there, you won't be able to pass there. But because adrenaline has been released in the body, your brain is active. It can see. You can think very fast. You have enough glucose in the body. That's the meaning. That's the effect of adrenaline in the body. So another one is aldosterone. This one is very important in regulating the amount of salts in the body. So it means that aldosterone and ADH, they work together. Aldosterone and ADH, antidiuretic hormone, they work together. Because if you have too much salts, it means that you have less water in the body. If you have too much water in the body, then it means that you have less salt in the body. Then you have what's called the ovary. Ovary is very important production of two hormones. The first one is estrogen. This one also stimulates the puberty in a female. The function of estrogen is to promote the thickening of the endometrium, while the function of progesterone is to maintain the pregnancy or to maintain that endometrium. The example is this one builds the endometrium, while this one, progesterone, maintains the endometrium. That's why we say that it maintains pregnancy. Another one is testis. Testis is very important in production of testosterone. Testosterone stimulates the maturation of sperms and also secondary sexual characteristics in male. So basically, that's what you need to know about this. You need to know the location of the hormone, so of the gland. You need to know the name of the gland, which hormone it produces, and the function of that hormone. Negative feedback mechanism. Let me just explain one.